Hey guys, what is up? I just wanted to show you how to set up the game mechanics of Resident Evil, especially Resident Evil 2 from the PlayStation 1 era, which is like rotating movement, fixed camera angle and stuff like that. But this is not everything. I mean, the whole project, I just finished the whole project and I integrated basically everything you can imagine, including full inventory system, shooting mechanics, blood on impact, basically everything. Also like storage system, save game, level instance, game instance, and all that stuff. So this is a huge project, and I don't really know how far we can get with this tutorial series. But if people like it, why not? Okay, so let me just start with just setting up the project and the basic movements for now. Okay, so this episode will be just like setting up the movement, and in the second episode we are going to set up the fixed camera system with some rotating movements, so the camera might maybe rotate a little bit towards the player when the player is moving, running around. But we have like these like a bunch of cameras in our world and everything. So, but for now, let's just launch a new project in Unreal Engine 5, in my case, which is 5.5. Games, third person, and let's just call it RE course. And no starter content. We want to start fresh and as clean as possible. And click create. Okay, here it is. So when we press play, we can see the UE5 mannequin here. And this is not really Resident Evil at all. She is rotating towards us, and she's just running around. So this is not really. And we can also use the camera, which is always like facing us and always following us. So this has nothing to do with Resident Evil. So we need to change a bunch of stuff. Actually, we are not really changing. We are starting from scratch. So what you need to do is create a new folder. Call it re_character. And when we go to characters, the default, we are going to use the UE4. You can use the UE5, but save yourself all the headache. Just use the UE4 because most of the animations are working pretty good with the UE4. Okay, so we need materials, meshes, and textures. Just drag it into the RE character. We have things organized here. Back into our character here, we make another folder. And let's just call it mannequin. So now we know we have our UE4 mannequin. Move it. And let's, before we create a blueprint, let's just create another input action. So when you go to a third person, we have an input here. The IMC default is basically something we need to set up. You can see jump, move, and look. We don't need jump and look. We just need the move. So we go into the action folder, jump and look, just delete, force delete. Move, right click, duplicate, and call it walk. So we not only move, which is basically run, but we also want to walk. Just leave it as it is. Input, go back, IMC default, and next to IA move, we need the IA walk. Open that up, and we don't need this one, this one, this one, this one, and the spacebar, left shift, and also click on the plus button because later when we walk backwards, we want to force our character to also move automatically and not run when we go backwards. So click on this one and press S. So we have left shift and S, and save that. What we also want to do is click on modifiers here, and we want to swivel input axis values, and on the index 1 we want to negate. So just make sure that you have this as well. Okay, nice. When we go back to our RE character here, let's finally create the blueprint class, which is a character BP underscore, let's call it RE character. Open that up. So since this is the character blueprint, we have a skeleton mesh. So inside this skeleton mesh, we take this at the top one, which we just moved. This is our UE4 mannequin. And yeah, we just need this one. So yeah, make sure when you hover over it, you see the path is your folder RE underscore character. This is always really, really important that you have the right skeleton mesh. Also, when you're using animations, you find the skeleton, you want to retarget animations, always use this path, the right skeleton. Because you can see, we just started this project, we already have like 6 different skeletons, which is insane, just for starting a fresh project. Okay, so now on the location here, do -90, and on the rotation, Z-axis as well, -90, so we have this in place. Add a camera, and just move that so we just can see what's going on here. Because if we don't attach a camera to the mesh, which the camera is a child of the mesh, we cannot see anything when we press play. Okay, we don't need the construction script, and in the event we can delete this. And also, when we go back to our third-person blueprint, you see here BP third-person blueprint. We don't need we don't need this one. We don't need this one. Basically, we don't need anything here because this is the BP third-person character. So when we compile, we get a bunch of errors. So you can see, because we deleted this one, don't need that, deleted this one, and we can also delete this. The only thing we need is this, just Control X, compile, save, close, and just transfer this, what we just cut out, into our BP. So now we have our own BP. Also, make sure when you click on this BPRE character as self, which is our character blueprint here, when you just type in rotation, down on the bottom right-hand side you have pitch, yaw, and roll. Make sure yaw is always enabled. I mean, it's enabled by default, so you don't need to worry about that. But it's just pretty important. When you want to rotate, yaw needs to be enabled if you want to rotate in place. And this is pretty crucial for Resident Evil 1998 PlayStation 1 era. Okay. So we have this input mapping. We basically cast to this data asset, which is the IMC default. And now, right click, as you might remember, IA move. This is the one we just left. Oh, sorry, this is the wrong one. IA move. We need this input event, this one. If you click on the arrow to collapse it, you can see you have this action value. Split struct pin, then you have the X and Y value. This is pretty important for rotation and for moving back and forth. So now what we need to do, we need some logic. So get player controller, and from there we need get control rotation. Oh no, not this one. Set control rotation for the pawn basically. And you can see we have a rotator here, and we need to connect this. So how can we connect this? We need some data here, so we can fill it. Go to variables, and inside here you have this float, and call it turn in place TIP speed. Compile, we get an error. Is no problem. Set it to 4, so it's fast enough for rotating, and just drag and get. So from this X value, make multiply, and we multiply it by our speed float, and from there you just add. Okay, let's swap this. You can swap by control and click. This is nice and handy. So what do we need to do now? We need to set the control rotation. So what is the control rotation? Here we set the control rotation, but we also need to get the control rotation in order to have information, or to fill this with information. So make a little more space, put it up, because we need to split. And we can just, for X and Y, we can just make a rotator, because we just need the Z value, which is pretty important for rotating in place, basically. So get this one, and when we just multiply it with the turn and place speed and adding this value, this is the output, and we connect it to the make rotator. And now we can set the control rotation here. Nice. This should be it. So, but we are not done yet. We can just get rid of this error, but we also need to add movement input. If I can type. Add movement input. We need to get the control rotation again. From there, we split the struct pin again and get, if we find it, we need to disable the context sensitive, and we just take the math forward vector and just, this is the reason why we don't find it, because I was splitting the pin already. So this is the reason why he has trouble finding it. Okay, so drag select both, press Q, so it's looking sexy. And now we can just connect this to the world rotation, and the scale value, which is 1 by default, we just use this value here, depending on like how we want to move. Let me just get this one, select both, press Q, and then just put it maybe down here. Okay, sweet. Let's compile and save. So what we basically did here now is we can now move our pawn. As you can see, I forgot something. We cannot move at all. Makes sense because we deleted all the logic in our third-person BP and the default third-person BP. But we are not using it. So we go to Edit, Project Settings, Maps and Modes, and inside the selected game mode, we can change the default pawn class because we are not using the BP third person, and we removed the logic. So, but we're using now the BP RE character. Just close it. Save. Now you can see we can move, but we don't have any animation. You can see now that we can walk, we can move backwards, forwards, and we can rotate in place. So this is like, now we are getting a little more close, or like getting closer to the nostalgic feeling of Resident Evil 2. So now let's get some animation. Go back into your RE character, right click, animation, animation BP, select the right skeleton, which is in this case game RE underscore character. It's pretty important. Call it ABP for animation blueprint. Animation blueprint. RE underscore character. Open that one up. We don't need the anim graph. Close this. And the developers of Unreal Engine have already given us this event and this function here because we need that in most cases. This is like the standard procedure. But before we can fire this off, we need two functions here. We need the speed, not functions, variables. We need the speed and we need the movement direction. So make two floats. First one is just speed, which will be connected to our blend space later, and the movement direction. Movement direction, which is basically just rotating. We're gonna get like minus 180 and positive 180, which is like full 360. Also, if you want to have like root motion turn in place, if you want to add this, maybe because like just rotating the player is just looks silly, you can add turn in place root motion depending on the values given by movement direction. If you want to have this. Okay, let's drag and set the speed. But before we can set the speed, we need some information because by default it's 0 and 0 is not getting us anywhere. So try get pawn owner is the reason why we can fire off of try get pawn owner is because when we go back to our player BP, we can see here anim class and we can just use the ABP RE character. Just compile and save. I'm just doing it right now, so in case if you just forget. And now we can now Unreal Engine knows, oh, this is the pawn owner. Okay, this is implemented into our BP. All right, let's get the movement component. And oh, sorry, no, this is not what I wanted. I'm always trying to organize things. And from here we get the velocity. This vector is already integrated here. And out of this vector we get the length, vector length. And now we can connect this one into speed, which is just a float. And also we need the control rotation. Get the control rotation of this pawn, which is our player BP. And now we basically calculate direction. Let's get this one on the bottom. Yes, this one is the target of anim instance. So velocity, we can just get the velocity and connect it to here. And from there, we can just set the movement direction and just bam, like this. Okay, compile and save. But we are not done yet, okay? So what we need to do is we need to set up a blend space. In order to have a blend space, let's go to anim graph, state machine. So just drag out from here and do state machine. We call it locomotion. Inside this locomotion, which is the state machine, inside this state machine, right click and add a state. Call it idle / walk / run. The entry connected. I have trouble selecting this sometimes. So we cannot really like use something because he's asking us for like, okay, do you have a blend space or something like this? Do you have an animation? Yeah, we just have one animation here by default, which is pretty boring. So what we can do, or what we should do, we need to get some animations. So let me just pretty quick, let me just get some animations. Okay, let me go to the content. You can see now I was just copy and pasting like these two animations. The walk already contains the jog forward. So I'm just making right click, new folder, animation, get the idle, the walk, and just put it here. move here. Yeah, this is fine. This is perfectly fine, and we can just drag the animation into the RE character, because this is these are all the animations. Just don't look at these errors. It's annoying. Yeah, and we have these animations, just these animations here in our RE character folder. So now, if you double click here, he's telling us like, hey, there's no skeleton. Would you like to choose a new one? Yes. And of course, we use our RE character. Okay? And now we have this animation. If this is not working for you and this animation is like completely broken and not doing anything, and you are in the T pose, make sure you retarget it before. Just right click and retarget animations. The target is the skeleton mesh, which has already been provided by you in the first place when you purchased an animation. So make sure you have this skeleton mesh from your pack you purchased, which has been already retargeted to those specific anim sets. And then the target would be the RE character skeleton mesh. And then you can just export those animations. And that's it. And then you should be fine. In this case, I don't need that. Just open and assign those to my UE4. Okay, and you can see all those animations are working. Okay, now back into our folder, RE character. We create animation blueprint. No, sorry, I'm too fast. Animation, blend space, get our RE underscore character, BS for blend space underscore move. This should be fine. Let's call it pistol because in my case, I will always start the event on begin play with a pistol equipped. So BS pistol should be fine. But in your case, just decide what you want as a basic movement blend space. Okay, so now this is the BS pistol, the blend space pistol, and we have horizontal axis and vertical axis. For the horizontal is direction, and the vertical is speed. For the direction, we need minus 180 and plus 180. So we can rotate 360 degrees. And for the speed is, when we're in idle, the speed is 0, of course, and maximum should be 300. Also, let's save this. Let's go to our BP and go to max walk speed and set this to 300 at max, because 600 is pretty insanely fast. Okay, so now we're all set, and we need 2 grids here and 2 grids here. The idle can be, let's snap here and snap. And the idle should be here, here, and here. Then we have walk. Walk is here, which is the speed from 0 to 300. So we have 2 grids on snap. So in the middle we have 150 when we walk. This is 150 speed. And walk backwards should be here. And walk backwards should be here, which is minus 180 and positive 180. And the jog forward should be here. And we cannot run backwards. So walk backwards and walk backwards will be also part of the 300 speed. But we will never reach 300 because, as you might remember, in our input action, we set the, when we press shift, we also, when we press S, we move on 150 speed, which we are about to set up in a minute. So but there's no chance if you want to walk backwards, which is the button S, the event walk will also trigger. So we can never reach 300 by pressing S. It's not possible. Okay, and this is your blend space. Save. Back into your NMBP. Set this. And connect this. And the direction is here. And the speed is here. Drag select everything. Press Q. Make it nice. And now you can see he is actually animated. Now, I told you something about move. We need to set it up because this is just move, but now he's just moving on 300 speed, our max walk speed. So we need to right click IA and get the walk we just created at the beginning. So the walk has, as you might remember, the keyboard input left shift and S for walking backwards. So when we trigger left shift or S, we need a boolean to help Unreal Engine understand its state. So the state for us is he walking? Just is walking. When it's triggered, so when we are pressing S or left shift, yes, then we are walking. After completion, or like after it is completed, just make it negative. So we are out of this walking state. And when we are walking, we get the movement, character movement, and set max walk speed. We need to set the max walk speed. Yeah, this one. And when we walk, we are at 150. And we just copy that, connect it here on completed. And then when we're not walking, we can go back to 300, which we set here by default, 300 max walk speed. And connect this as well. I always prefer to have it as clean as possible. Okay, nice. Okay, this is it. If you now try this out, we can run, we can rotate in place, we can rotate and run, and when we press S, we cannot run, and we are walking backwards. Okay, and if we press Shift, we can walk forward. And you can see he's snapping. You can just easily go here into the blend space and the speed, because in the rotation we don't actually move. We just change our direction on the Z-axis, but we can just maybe, let's try 0.3 just to give it a little bit of smoothing, and then you can see he's not snapping and it looks quite nice. Okay, so now you can see the camera movement. It's not really like old school Resident Evil. So in the next episode I'm going to show you how to set up cameras in this whole area here, maybe like 4 different cameras in every corner. And then we're gonna have a box collision, and the box collision will be connected to the camera, or to each camera. And yeah, the camera will not move. It will be a fixed camera system, and the player will always collide with the trigger box. The camera can also rotate towards the player movement. I hope this first episode gives you some insight here. And yeah, see you in the next one.